I'm Eric Landskrona. Bombshell news right at the very core of South Jersey's political machine. So-called Democratic kingmaker George Norcross has been indicted along with 5 others on racketeering charges.
And with the cooperation of former mayor of Camden, Dana Red, they co-opted the Camden city government to aid the Norcross enterprise in obtaining property and property rights along the Camden waterfront through coercion, extortion, and other criminal acts. I will go through
Attorney General Matt Platkin right there laying out some of the allegations from this 111-page indictment unsealed today. Platkin detailed one alleged interaction between Norcross and a developer who had secured rights for a major project on the waterfront.
When the developer would not initially relinquish his rights on terms preferred by the Norcross enterprise, George Norcross threatened the developer that he would in substance and in part, quote, F you up like you've never been effed up before, end quote. And he told the victim developer that he would make sure that the developer would never do business in Camden again.
Okay, so worth pointing out that George Norcross was actually sitting in the front row of that press conference, staring down the AG as he was speaking. Joining me now is senior investigative reporter Walt Kane. Walt, we'll get to who George Norcross is and why this is so significant in a moment. But I mean, is there anything that we can glean from the fact that he was right there in the front row?
He certainly wanted to make an appearance. He certainly wanted to make it very clear that he is not intimidated. And, you know, if you know George Norcross, it's not a surprise.
All right, so let's talk about who George Norcross is and why this is so significant.
Well, George Norcross may be the most powerful person in New Jersey politics who was never actually elected to any sort of office. He was, in 1989, the chair of the Camden County Democratic Party. He only held that position for 6 years, but he built up enormous political influence. First, it was in Camden County. Then it was throughout South Jersey. Eventually, he built up so much influence in the South that if you were a lawmaker from North Jersey, if you wanted to pass legislation, you had to deal with Norcross because your bill was going to fail unless you had at least a few South Jersey votes, and Norcross controlled those votes. And famously, this is a man who, a former New Jersey Senate president, would seek his permission before posting legislation. That's how prominent he was.
So people are wondering today, those who don't know him as well as those who do, how significant is this?
Well, it's significant under any circumstances. Norcross has often been held up as sort of the symbol of a political boss in New Jersey. People have hinted about possible corruption involving him. There was one investigation that came close to him under the Christie years, but this is the first time he's ever been charged with a crime, so that's significant in itself. The indictment, though, is also an indication that power is really shifting in New Jersey away from the political machines. A couple of months ago, we saw a lawsuit successfully challenge the county line-style election ballot, which some have said makes it so that power brokers and not voters decide who win elections, at least primaries. So whether Norcross is ultimately convicted or not, I think this is a sign, again, another sign, that the ground is shifting here in New Jersey.